don't think it will blow. An off mark on that cab. It isn't for fire, it's for front, facing front. I'm pleased with that. Good day everybody. We are going to get this engine put back together today, or parts of it anyway. I reckon it will take me a few days. We're going to have to sit there and buy certain things I haven't got, gaskets and stuff. Some gaskets I can't make because they're just so big. And I can't find any gasket paper that sort of size, so we're going to sit there and make what we can make. We're going to reuse what we can reuse, even if I have to take it out again in about, say, 6 months' time. I just want the engine running, just so I know it's going to work for what I need it for, and then we'll move the car back up the top here, and we'll move that old jalopy back down the bottom. We're going to have to get the head sorted out on that. I've blown it. I don't know, something's gone wrong. Could be rings, could be anything. Regarding this, I think I've got everything I need, apart from a few things like a ball peen hammer for gasket making. I'm going to get one of those in a minute. I'm going to shoot down at Wilco's on Norwich Road, Ipswich, and get myself some gasket paper and some gasket sealant. I think I might buy the blue, the permanently sticky stuff for all the work, because it's like waterways that I'm sealing up and Sump, so I think the blue is the best one for that, I think, but I'll talk to the guys at the shop and see what they say. Right, I'm going to clean this up as best as possible. Maybe not so much on the outside I'm worried about, I'm concerned about all of the internal being clean. We're going to take the oil pump off and pretty much go from there really. I filled this whole container up. I actually do have a parts washer, but it's empty and it's buried. Got a right stubborn one here. Bugger. Bugger. Oh, I kind of abandoned the other one. It's too rotten. The bolts can't get off. So turn my attentions to this one instead. Since I've seen oil. Pretty scored up in there. Okay, we've cleaned everything with petrol. That was all red when I started. So rubbish paint is nowadays, acrylics. So that's all nice and clean. That's all nice and clean. That is in really good condition. A bit concerned about the water pump because there's some scoring going on in there. Rubber seal seems to be okay, but maybe at a later date I'll replace that. What else is there? Yeah, we had some stuck studs, but they've all been removed now. I welded nuts on the end of the knackered studs. That transfers the heat through the thread. 90% will come out in that method, but not all of them. I had two that would not. Where are they? Because I had to drill them out and I made a real bad job of it. But it's such a bad job I can't find where I drilled them, so. Oh, and on that one, that's why. Duh. There you go. I didn't do a very good job, but I can put a nut and bolt behind them. So that's not so much of an issue. For me, that'll work. So now I've got to do is clean all the gaskets off that's on here, make up some new gaskets, which will be a challenge because I don't have a small ball peen hammer. And I wished I had. I think the handle's snapped and I don't know what I've done with it since then. Otherwise I'd make a new oak handle out of some wood. But we are getting that much more closer to making this a functional engine. Right, I've made the gaskets. I made two, I've got to get a third one, but I ran out of gasket paper. They ain't that great, they're a bit crude. And we're very close on the wall on a couple of them, but this is a nice thick chunky gasket. And that's the wrong way round. I want to split it. It took me ages, and I don't joke, it took me ages. Right, there you go. I'm just a bit concerned about there. That's an oil way, I think, and that's really close. But I don't think it will blow, because we're going to put blue sealant, no, red sealant, which is semi-hard, all the way around this anyway. That should hold that back, but I am really concerned that that might blow on me. I was just debating whether to make a circular gasket, cut this out and just sort of stick that in there as a separate gasket, but I don't know, I think we'll be alright with that. It's crude, but it works, and we've got a smaller one that I made for the oil pump here. Very much good enough for the job. So they will get sealed on with sealant, and we should be good to go. I have now put the cover on. The gasket is all sealed. I have replaced all of the bolts, the original rover bolts, with stainless steel bolts plus one nut. The reason that one has gone in like that, the thread was gone inside. I tried to tap it out, didn't happen. So I've had to go all the way through. But I have checked, I'll show you, that the distributor gear does miss the bolt. As you can see, it misses. So I call that a success. Now we're going to compare both sumps. I've only got one oil pickup that I can use, and it's very much looking like it's going to be this one. It's not too bad a condition, to be honest. All the nuts and bolts are there, but the sump's a little dented. I'm going to have to put hammer underneath it and flatten some of it out, and we don't have a sump plug for it, so that's going to be an issue. Okay, update. Just ordered some parts. Big deal for me. I don't like spending money. But I've been looking at this and I've been thinking I really should replace some of the stuff that really is suspicious, and that referral to the word suspicious relates to that chain. Anyone who owns a push bike will know, or a motorcycle, that if you put a brand new chain on a sprocket set and the sprockets are worn, it will knacker the chain up pretty quick. Everybody also knows that if you put a stretch chain on a good sprocket, it will eventually knacker the teeth up. Land Rover have put a gear wheel at the top, which is made of plastic or nylon. That chain does not match the teeth on that sprocket. For that reason, and that reason alone, I have now ordered a brand new chain and top and bottom sprocket, just because I don't want that plastic snapping. You can see it's not sitting on there properly. There's gaps just under the chain, so there is stretch in that chain, or there is movement in them teeth. Whichever of the two it is, I don't feel comfortable running that the way it is. The cam isn't that great either. It's got rust spots all over it. So total price of £80, which I thought was pretty good going, from Paddocks. I've ordered a new 2 sprockets, top and bottom, chain, and a new cam. And when I get some more money, I'll order in some new lifters as well. On the internet, the lifters are about £6, and this is what I expect them to be wherever I went, but Paddocks do them for about £2.50 each, which is a bit daft. So that's half the price of what they are on the internet. Another well-known Land Rover centre in Suffolk hasn't rung me back. I don't know why, but they haven't rung me back. I did ask them for a phone call back to order some parts. No one's rung me back. They could just be busy, I don't know, but I need the order in now, because the video, that's what's important at the moment, getting this video out. We're going to make some strategical cuts in that plate, because that one's different, and I'm using a different filter. As you can see, look, that don't fit in the hole. and I don't know in relation to where it would sit anyway. So we're going to cut across there, but we're going to keep those tabs. So we'll go down here lightly round. I might try and tack weld that just to hold it in there longer. There you go, guys, all nice and clean. I'm going to scrape as much of this off as I can physically get to. I'm hoping that's all of it, but I'm not guaranteeing that will happen. Trying to position myself. That fits, and it does locate exactly where it come from on an SD1 engine. So we'll just put these little nuts in. I don't know if it's a good idea putting this back on this engine because it was never designed for it, but we are changing the oil system anyway, so who knows. It's got two choices, isn't it? Either work or it don't. Right, it's all on there, all nice and tight. The space I'm lying in isn't much short of the same thing. So we'll put a homemade gasket in up there, we'll put the original screws, bolts back in. We've added these 6 extra screws which was on the SD1 engine and this plate, but I'm a little confused here because I think I might have used the wrong spacer because it's pushed this plate up in the air a little bit, but the problem is, oh, I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens really. There was 2 spacers, I might have used the wrong one and getting this all off again, it's a nightmare. So, nope, that's staying as is. I don't see any malfunctionings, so there's no point crying about it. I haven't stressed the pipe work, I haven't force bent anything. There was elongated holes cut in this plate here, so it was able to maneuver around. So everything's nice and tight. Now we need to offer the sump up. I've already turned the engine by hand, it's all clearing. I can't turn the engine and hold the camera at the same time, so just take my word for that. We'll give this one wipe down. Every nut and bolt is tight. I will double check them because we don't want them falling out. I've used new nut on that side, new spring washers in there. I've used the old spring washers because I don't have any, but I think we'll be fine. Right, let's get that sump. I didn't see that one coming. Look at that. Damn sump won't go on because the unit that goes at the front, as in this, is different. Of course it won't fit. Why didn't I think of that before? I wished I knew what I'd done with my other sumps. I'm sure I chucked them. Come back to you. Oh, I'm knackered. I'm hauling that today. Sump hasn't gone quite the plan. As you can see over there, I cut the bottom of the modern one off, and because there was so much damage on that one and I ain't got a sump plug, I thought I'd have a go at welding it on, but we ran out of welding wire and no one has got any. It's epoxy pandemic. So I went bulletproof. Ignore the skull, that didn't really work out, but 6mm thick that plate, and it's on there and it ain't going nowhere, and I'm quite happy with that. I was texting people, I was ringing around, I was doing everything in my power to try and find another sump without having to go on eBay to get one. And then this morning I woke up and I thought, do you know what, sod this, you never learn if you don't try. Although the first lesson was don't cut the bottom off. But anyway, it is a rat rod. That will carry more oil. The oil pickup will still be in the same spot. The dipstick will still be, not me the dipstick, I'm talking about the dipstick that goes in here. the dipstick will still sit at the same level, so it will still require enough oil to get it to the maximum mark. The only beauty of this is there is about half a litre to almost a litre more space in this sump than there was in the previous one. Also, I do intend to off-road it, which is the other reason why I opted for that idea in the end. Nothing fluky about it. 6mm, 4mm, 4mm, 6mm, and 4mm on the other side. Literally is what that is from. I welded up on the inside as well, because when I was welding through there was spiky penetrations and I was worried they were going to fall off and get caught in the oil. I have literally taken off as much spatter as I can find. There isn't that much left, there's a few bits, but I don't know, is there something that I can paint inside this to stop that from falling out? I don't know. I am going to stick some paint over the top of this before I bolt it on. So literally what we got going on here, well, this is the old 3.5 carbureted SD1 sump I got from my mate's house. That is the Gems sump plug. And this is just random steel that I've had lying around that I just decided, do you know what, we need a sump, I can't wait, I want this job done, I want to get the video up, and this is what I came up with. A lot that were laughing at this, I bet you're not laughing now. That has come out pretty damn good. I'm pleased with that. I'm really pleased with that. That's water-based paint on top of red. The idea was to sand back some of the black when it's dry, so some of the red is coming through, but to be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to bother with that. I quite like it the way it is, and it hides that crappy skull I did. It didn't work out very well at all. Right, it's Monday morning, and we are going to fit the sump. See, I'm not so ashamed to show you the inside of this, unlike the previous attempt. I'm not going to show you the previous attempt because it went so badly wrong. But we learn, don't we? We pick ourselves up and we start again, which is what I've done. So, with that in mind, we're going to go about fitting it. Now it's got water-based paint. We've got red dark paint underneath it, just as an extra barrier, but I've put black water-based. Before anyone says to me, that ain't going to work, that ain't no good, believe it or not, that is the same paint. That's been on there 2 years, just sitting idle. I've jacked up the front a little bit to get a bit more clearance because we've got a bit of a bigger sump than previously fitted to one of these things. And I don't know if I'm going to get clearance when I drop it down, and that's the God's honest truth. I'm hoping I haven't made the sump too big. So I'm going to turn camera off and fit it, and then I'll film it when I start doing the bolts up. It's a bit of a challenge. I can't do it one-handed. It's loosely on. Oh, that looks terrible, that skull. I've left it loose though, because we've still got that cam to rebuild and the cover to go on, and as you can see, that sump gasket, I don't know if you can see that, that's going to get tangled up, so we've left it loose. It suddenly dawned on me when I was putting it in place that maybe I'm doing this too early. I've got good clearance on the anti-roll bar, which I was a little worried I wouldn't, but it is. Steering dampener might be an issue, but it does angle off. Actually angles off more than I wanted it to. Sump plug should have gone at the end. Never mind, there'll always be a little bit of oil left in there, there's not a lot I can do about it. Poop, I should have put it in the backdrop there. Never mind. We live and learn. I'll always put another one in at a later date, I suppose. Seem to be going backwards today, not forwards. I've had to take the sump off because water has been getting past at the back, which worries me now. It's been dark for so many days that this actually hurts your eyes. Anyway, Tuesday. Today is the day. My parts are on their way, and we can finally play. Sorry, I'm rubbish at poetry. It rhymes. Anyway, look, everything's brand new cam, 50 odd quid's worth. white calcium grease, that's all I got, so whether it's the right or wrong stuff, it's the only stuff. There we go. So that's part number one in. One key way, and the easiest way to get these out is by using a vise. That sits inside the actual cam on the curve, and quite a bit sticks out, so if you wedge that into a vise carefully and then just tip the cam, that will pull out. Don't try and knock these out with screwdrivers and whatnot, because they're in too tight on these and you'll do more damage than good, and you'll end up buying a new one. So it's just a pointless exercise. Right, they're back in, they're nice and tight, and I'll tell you, it's close to the wall on that one, but they're in. Okay, according to the manual, that needs to be set at 1 o'clock, that needs to be set at 9 o'clock on top dead center. Right, there we go. Right, keyway, TDC, yep, spot on. Okay, happy with that. And the other one needs to be set at the firing position, and I don't have an F on that, so this is a bit trickier, but according to that, that needs to be at smack on 9 o'clock. Now we have a line that side, but we don't have a line that side. Just a keyway to go by, and that ain't lining up in any. That's weird. Right, now the line, or the dot, points down exactly where it needs to be. You see what's confusing is they put a number 1 there, but they've not put nothing else anywhere else. This is really cheap. But using the old camshaft gear, we're able to time that up to where it needs to be. Now, according to the book, that is where it needs to be. We've greased the chain and my phone to go a boot, so we're ready to put the rest of the stuff on. There. So what did I order? It's quite simple really. The camshaft itself is a Rover V8 EFI 3.5. I think year-wise was something like 86 to the 90s when they stopped doing that particular Rover V8. The top sprocket, bottom sprocket and chain, that's just off a Rover V8 carburetor version, early 80s, no particular date, and that's the original drive for the distributor unit. So that's all in, that's done. That's, if I've got it correct, it's timed up, and when I put the new lifters in, when I've ordered them, and put everything else top end back together, this thing should, in theory, fire up without a problem. So what I'm going to do next is get the cover plate put back on. I've stripped that back and I've put petroleum jelly in the gearing. That's what you do with the Rover V8s to prime the oil into the main system. You pack it as tight as you can get it. And my only issue I have with this is it's going to be a while before I actually get to fire this up, but getting to that part can only be obtained from underneath, and I don't want to take all of that off, so I'll do it now and hope for the best. Hot weather could turn that Vaseline to liquid, I don't know yet. The petroleum jelly actually melts with the oil, so once it starts to pick the oil up, you'll find that that just melts away into the oil. I'm going to use the old filter from the old engine if I can get it off intact, because I'm going to put test oil in this to just get it lubricating around. Once I've got it up to average temperature. I'm going to drain that all out, put a brand new filter on, and then put brand new oil in, and then I'll be content that this is the way it's meant to be. That's my plan. Going back on that, I mentioned about an F mark on that cam sprocket. It isn't for fire, it's for front, facing front, and I am assuming that that mark there is a representation because it's on the same side of another drawing I found which has got an F written on it. So just for the record, I would keep an eye on that one. It's the dots you want to be more concerned with. If you can't see the dot, then you've got it the wrong way round. Simple as that. Right, we're going to put that front cover on, but we've got a bit of an issue. The bolts that I took off the original one that was on here are all very, very different. So I've got to find a load of bolts with UNF, I think is what they are. I do have a couple of tubs. Should really use a mallet for that. There we go. Now we need to find all the bolts and whack those all in where they need to be. I have found some, but I haven't found all. I've got some really long ones there, and I do not have that as a representation down here. Plenty of short stubby ones. A lot of these came off the water pump, so yeah, that one fits. I imagine that one will. No, that one won't go in. That's she's not having it. Oh, I'm not going to do that one. Right, we're missing quite a lot of bolts. Two for there, got another one to go in there at least. There's nothing to go in that because there's no thread behind it. I've already checked. There is one for that.
Is that all rubbish now?
Yep, all going in the bin. Right, I've replaced those bolts with studs. Went down to Suffolk Fasteners. They didn't have the bolt I was after. So, with that in mind, I thought, well, if we knock up 4 studs, so we've got one stud there, one there, that's now holding that chamber in, we've got one stud up there. Well, that was a dodgy one because these bolts that I had in there, which were something like that, were barely touching the thread, and the thread at the beginning of that part wasn't that great. So by making all the studs equal, I've managed to get that one to go in a lot further. I also made an error on what I was saying. They are not UNF, they are UNC. I'll get it right. I just got in a bit of a pickle because I had my head somewhere else. So yeah, so we're going to undo those 2 nuts, and we're going to put a washer on and redo that back up. There we go. that cover plate is done. Sump is now on, fully tight. Every bolt. Just got to find the cover plate for the flywheel. Got one round here somewhere. I just can't remember where I last saw it. Ignore the skull and crossbones, that didn't go very well. This pump is bothering me. There's the spare. Feels like a rubber resistance going on in there though, but there's no noise, so I might whip that bugger off and switch them over. I couldn't get all the paint off, but that doesn't matter. It's all over my hands, look. That's a lot better. All the bolts fit. Everything is good. I'm really pleased with this, guys. I really am. So all the gaskets are good. Everything seems to work. Yeah, I did tear the big gasket up in 2 places, but I'll be honest with you, I think it'll be fine, but we won't know until we fire up. I've temporarily put that pulley back on from the Gems engine. It's just to cover the hole. I've got to put one of them on because I need the timing marks, but the other reason is multiple pulleys. I was hoping to go serpentine, but it don't look like that's going to happen. So yeah, I keep saying basically I cannot go any further now. That is your lot. The sump is on, modified, the water pump replaced, the covering installed, the cam, new cam installed, the timing chain and timing gears installed. The only thing left to do now is the distributor unit, but we can't do that yet because we've got to get access to all of that, and a blooming great thing sitting in the way, so we can't do that. I have a new rocker cover gasket, not an issue. So yeah, I'm feeling really good about this. Right, due to the fact that there's been a blinking black spot that I didn't notice, and it falling on my face in the footage that makes me look like Adolf Hitler with a moustache, I thought I'd redo this last piece. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for joining me in this. It's been quite an epic ride at this point in time. We've still got more to do. I'll get the lifters ordered next time I get paid, which is about a week's time, and then hopefully once I've got those installed, we'll get everything else installed, and we'll get the basics working, and then we'll put some petrol down her and see if she'll fire up, and if everything is right, if it in, and I guess I'm going to be starting again, isn't I? So yeah, I'd like to say thank you very much for the viewing, and also Carlton, I understand you watch these with your granddad. So Carlton, welcome. Hope you're enjoying all of this, and keep up the good work in nagging your granddad to build a motorhome. I can't say that I blame you on that one, because they are good fun. So yeah, to everybody else, thanks for viewing, and I'll see you next time round. Bye bye.